Momstead. Yeah. Nyberg. Qualina.
Qualiana. Q. Q.
Roland. Roland.
Here.
Tim. Vandenhoven.
Yep. Here.
Vines.
Okay. The chair notes quorum. And now we move into open forum. Any member of the ASM shall have the right to speak at the open forum, subject to the time limit specified here. Members of the ASM who are not officers of the ASM shall take precedence over officers and appointees. Non-members of the ASM may be granted the opportunity to speak by a majority vote of the SFC members present. Each speaker may speak once for up to 3 minutes. The open forum is limited to 45 minutes unless the SFC shall by 2/3 vote to extend it. First on the open forum list is Kaz. You have 3 minutes to speak and begin whenever you're ready.
Hello, all. For those of you who I have not gotten to introduce myself to yet, my name is Matt. I'm the outgoing chair, of Whisper, the student group on campus. I want to just take a minute and introduce Whisper to you all, since I'm sure you'll be interacting with us in the next year. We're a part of the GSSF. And then also just update you on something that's going on with Whisper's funding right now. So first, Whisper is a statewide student-directed and student-funded group. As I said before, we're in the GSSF, funded by SFC, which is wonderful fun. So our mission is to fight issues that there's a powerful special interest that is thwarting the public interest in some way. A perfect example of this is food policy, where big companies like Monsanto are thwarting the public interest by gaming the system and getting subsidies. These are the largest corporations in the world, are getting subsidies from taxpayers in order to make their food cheaper and produce unhealthy foods like high fructose corn syrup. There are things like oil companies, which stand opposed to climate change legislation or reducing their dependence on oil because they have a vested money interest in making sure that their profits stay high. So these are the kind of issues we take on campus. Next semester we'll be working on vote work. We'll be registering students to vote. You'll see us a lot working with the Madison Vote Coalition. We'll be working on making campus more sustainable. We're trying to end bottled water contracts with the university and find more energy efficient alternatives. As a part of that, we'll also be running our Res Hall energy competition, where we pit the dorms against each other to see who could save the most money over the course of a month, which is awesome. It saves the university a ton of money, and it also just is great for the environment too. We'll be working on that. We'll also be working on other projects like protecting Madison's lakes. Right now, our lakes are threatened by runoff pollution. Literally every time it rains, it's really gross. There's tons of raw sewage and manure that just goes right into the lake. So you then go swim in there, it's kind of gross. Leads to things like massive algae blooms, which make Lake Mendota really stinky and turn funky colors. And these protections are being rolled back on the state level. So what we're doing is saying that since the state is not interested in protecting Wisconsin's waterways, we're looking for solutions in the short term to protect Madison's waterways, because tourism is our, I believe, second largest industry in Wisconsin. Most of it is down to, I see I'm running out of time apparently, but yes. Anyway, so that's
Second.
You weren't done. I was just warning you.
Oh.
Yeah.
There's a motion on the floor.
Are there any objections?
Awesome. So anyways, so that's what we are and what we do. We are not up for eligibility next year, but we will be up for a budget, which I'm sure Sarah can tell you more about what happened with our budget this year. But as I said before, we are in the middle of a little bit of a struggle for Whisper's budget. So last year, SSOC approved our professional staff. It's something that makes Whisper a little unique with the GSSF, is that we hire professionals to pair with the idealism of students in order to be most successful at taking on big special interests and making a lot of positive social change here on campus and statewide. But right now, the problem is that the chancellor has to also sign on to a contract to fund our professional staff. And unfortunately, the chancellor's office has signaled that they're not interested in accepting the process at all that ASM's created, or Whisper's contract specifically, which means that we can't have our professional staff, which means we can't run our program, which would suck, because this is a big year, especially with vote work next year. It would be terrible to not have us around. So you'll hear more about that. I'm going to be around a lot for the end of this semester. Unfortunately, I'm graduating, so I will not be working with you all next year. You'll meet Tess, who is the new chair of Whisper. She'll be talking more about it next year. But I'm here. Sarah Nygaard has also been very invested in this project and working with the Chancellor's office. She was the former chair, for those of you who don't know. So if you have questions, please come talk to me or Sarah. We'd be happy to answer any of your questions about Whispering in general or what's going on specifically with this issue. And with that, I will open myself for questions.
Are there any questions for the speaker? Representative Vines?
What justification did the Chancellor's office give when denying the contract?
I'll defer to actually Chair Nygaard if I'm allowed.
Are there any objections?
Yeah, so what happened was after you all approved this and we gave it to Student Council also approved it unanimously. And so I sent a letter to the Chancellor saying that this was the justification that the contract was approved and this is when the ASSA was approved. The end of last week, the Chancellor and his legal team sent a letter saying that this process has not been vetted to alleviate concerns of former Chancellor Biddy Martin, as well as President Riley, and it does not abide by F50. So I sent a letter back that I wrote saying how it does align with F50 and how we did alleviate all concerns that Chancellor Martin had thought of. And they sent questions back yesterday, which they didn't even read my letter. They just kind of asked these questions. And so this morning we were at the Chancellor's office, and what they said is that this process does not abide by F50, which is not true, and they feel as though student organizations should not be able to contract out for services. It should only be the student government contracting out for services to provide to students. And there's a lot more back and forth about that. There's also a lot of history why they think the way they do. However, right now we're kind of hitting an impasse, and we're going to be bringing that to the table for negotiations because I just asked the Chancellor bluntly, would you approve this contract as is? And he said, probably not. And so with that, I had made a proposal to the Chancellor that we're still trying to negotiate, but that's where we're at.
And the last thing I would just note on the issue too is there's been a lot of talk about how this is a Whisper thing. I would actually argue as a student here on campus, this is not about Whisper at all. This is about shared governance and the legal rights that the state has afforded to students at universities in the state of Wisconsin. I'm sure you'll hear a lot about 3695 in your trainings over the summer, but this is a direct attack in my mind against student power and against the rights that are afforded to students, and it's really ASM's thing that the Chancellor's office is saying that it's not legal.
Do you have a follow-up?
Yeah.
Are there any other questions for the speaker? Seeing none, you may step down.
Thank you all.
Thank you. Next on the open forum list is Iju. Iju, you have 3 minutes to speak, and you can begin whenever you're ready.
Hello, I would like to briefly introduce myself. My name is Iju Tu, and actually I'm the co-director of GUTS. Because we are during farewell party for Aries winner, so I'm here today. Well, today I'm here to request your approval for the advertising exception. As you might know, the summer is coming. GUTS will attend the summer solar approximately 30 resource fair in summer. It's really a good opportunity for us to reach freshmen and to promotion like GUTS service. We're ready to purchase we would like to purchase 2 products here. And according to the latest updated advertisement policy of SSMC, the logo and the disclaimer must be proportional and legible to the eye. So I come up and I offered a sample today to show actually size of the post-it and the pen here. So we really have a hard time to squeeze the ASM logo in here. Can I pass it around?
Yeah, absolutely.
So I wonder if you guys have any questions.
Are there any questions for the speaker? Representative Nygaard.
Yeah, thanks for having me. So you said that these advertising items would be primarily given to freshmen. Do you feel as though they would also target the student body?
Yes, of course, but because summer is coming and I check all our like promotional items. We still have pencil, the small pencil, but cannot, we have to like buy more. I just wonder that maybe we can offer multiple like promotional items to like attract the new student on campus, because most of our tutors are new students to be as well.
Do you have a follow-up? Fine.
So are you requesting an advertising exemption, and if so, when would we need to get the buy in order for this to work?
The foil print, I have worked in GUTS for 3 years, so according to my research, foil print they offer the most affordable price. If we increase the quantity, the unit price will be low down. So if you see my purchase, I haven't ordered it and I haven't read the justification. If each item we order like 1,000 and the pen and the postage will be under $1 for each person, for each student.
Do you have a follow-up?
So if you want us to pass an advertising exemption, when do you think you would need us to pass it by in order for this to be properly ordered in time?
Well, I would be appreciated if you can approve it as soon as possible, because we need to submit all the invoice by this month to ASM. Thank you.
Do you have a final question?
No, I do not.
Are there any other questions, Representative Nyberg?
Yeah, would you be amenable to putting funded in part by ASM on both of the items?
In part,
Like, just write funded in part by ASM.
yeah, no problem. You just literally put on word by ASM, which is totally no problem. And we appreciate it. We know we are powerful student board, but the whole disclaimer just really hard to squeeze in this item.
Do you have a follow-up? Are there any other questions for the speaker? Seeing none, you may step down. Thank you. Next on the open forum list is Richard Rowland. Richard, you have 3 minutes. You can begin whenever you're ready.
Hi, everyone. I have a few changes for the standing rules that I'm going to be amending, and I just want to bring them to your attention before the debate, so that you could ask me questions now. Some of the things I'm amending is allowing for question and answer to be more than 3 questions per round if it's extended by 2/3 of the council, so the council can extend 2/3, and then a person can ask more than 3 questions in a round. I also fixed a few spelling errors like not to not, and I just want to make sure I'm doing everything. So I also had that the chair inform the committee when violations occur the first time also, that the committee doesn't do it, but the chair still takes care of it, but she also informs the committee in her next chair report or his chair report. I also had if GSSF organization is in a leadership position or a paid position, that they'll also have to recuse themselves from the questioning portion of the process, so they can't be involved in questioning either. Because in student council last time when MCS got their budget, I noticed that one of the leaders of that was asking questions, and I thought that was kind of inappropriate. And what else do I have? I have that I also made reconsidering more clear that the second has to be from a member who voted in the majority. It doesn't say that in the legislation, even though that's their intent, I'm assuming. So I did that. And then I made 2/3 vote in the entire committee. I also, this is going to be the contentious part, so we had some pretty big fights in the office tonight about it, or debates. I am getting rid of the required events that groups must attend, that we must attend of GSSF groups, and also I'm getting rid of the mandatory lobbying. My reason for this is, my personal belief is that it creates a relationship between groups and members of the committee that I personally do not feel comfortable dealing with, because I feel like it could hamper my viewpoint neutrality. I'd rather want to look at all the facts and not have to deal with the personal aspect, because then that kind of hurts me from judging it particularly just on viewpoint neutrality. So I'd really appreciate if you guys pass that. Also, I made leave of absences not be considered excused or unexcused absences for, because if someone has an unexcused absence or a leave of absence for a month, or is that already? Oh, okay, I'm sorry, I didn't know that. Okay, so then I'll just get rid of that amendment. And then, again, I also had that the chair must inform the committee about legal counsel not attending recommended meetings. And finally, I'm also going to
Speaker's
try
time
to.
has expired.
Motion to extend by 3 minutes.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, I'm really quick. Okay, and also I was going to motion to put this in standing rules to amend the request for approval for a volunteer stipend position and the SSFC member at large, like what we are going to be signing tonight. I'm going to try to push that back until the fall because I also want to get rid of the requiring of going to events and lobbying in the responsibilities so that SSFC members do not have to do that. I open myself up to questions.
Representative Vines.
Okay, a couple of my clarifying question first. The thing about somebody being able to ask more than 3 questions per round with a 2/3 vote. So that would be, for example, question, follow-up, final question. You can request asking more as long as you get approval from 2/3 of the body?
Correct.
Okay.
I did that because if my event things pass, I wanted the reason also why I wanted more question and answer is because I believe that everything should be done in this room and all of the information be done in this room. So all of our things are recorded here. And I believe that it's better that all of the council hears the same information instead of us getting different information when we're being lobbied by the group. So that's why I wanted to have more questions in case if people had more questions. So we have all the question and answer in this meeting instead of outside.
My
Follow-up, sorry.
is I'm not entirely sure, but I'm pretty certain that for the motion to reconsider under Robert's rules, the second does not have to be somebody who voted in the majority. And is it somebody? It has to be.
Okay, I'm sorry.
I'm correct. Yeah. So
I'm sorry.
if I'm right,
I haven't read through all Robert's rules.
do you
Okay.
think that you?
Yeah,
would,
I'll just reject. I'll
Okay.
not talk about those nominations.
Gotcha.
Or
Do you
those
have a final
things.
question?
Not yet. No.
Representative Nygaard.
Yeah, so in Robert's rules, there is a point that's on motion for senatorial questioning.
Yes.
Would you feel as though what you're trying to amend the standing rules to be is pretty much just
That is
pretty
correct.
much the same thing?
That is correct, but I did it this way because some people, when they hear senatorial questioning, they freak out.
Do you have a follow-up?
Yes, so when, let's say somebody would request extra questions, would that be for everyone on the body or just that individual person?
I think that would have to be for everyone on the body because I've been trained VPN, but I haven't been trained fully in VPN, but I'm not sure if that would be a VPN violation by having one member asking more questions. I'm not sure though. Okay, I'm just making sure that. I just want to be careful, that's all.
Do you have a final question?
Yes, I do. Do you feel as though attending a group's event is this inherently the same as lobbying with the group for information?
No, I don't think it's the same thing, but my whole point was I wanted to get rid of both of those things because I don't think that a member should be forced to be in a situation that they think may harm their viewpoint neutrality. This isn't preventing members from going to events or preventing members from lobbying or being lobbied, but I think that if a member does not want to be lobbied because they think it could hurt their viewpoint neutrality, I think they should have that option and respect to do so.
Representative Vines?
How do you think lobbying with a group could hurt your viewpoint neutrality?
Okay. When I talk to groups, and this is a personal relationship, I personalize with the people that I talk to, and as I do that, I sometimes do not think totally clearly about, even if I do look at it in a viewpoint neutral way, there is always going to be some part of the subconscious in every human being thinking about what that person's attitude is. So it could even be a bad point of view of the person that I met or a good point of view of the person I met that could subconsciously affect my decision making, and I do not want that to happen.
Do you have a follow-up?
Don't you think that could happen? I mean, if you're interacting with somebody and who's giving a presentation during your question and answer, I mean, I don't understand the distinction.
In my opinion, the distinction is it's not a one-on-one thing, or it's not a very small group. In question and answer, it's more formal. Everything's recorded. Group members are more careful when they're up here speaking, I think, than when they're one-on-one with an SSFC member. And I think that it creates a more environment that is more formal.
Do you have a final question?
No.
Are there any? Oh, Representative or Secretary Harris. I'm sorry.
Representative Rowland, do you are you aware that there's been are you aware that going to the to GSSF groups events and lobbying is just another way for a better relationship between SFC and the GSS in the those groups. It's just another way to have a better relationship develop between the groups.
I'm aware that that's an intent, but in my opinion, and this is my opinion, people can disagree with me, but I believe that SSFC should be a logical body. It should not be it should be working with the groups to make sure that outcomes are the same. But I think that SSFC members need to look at the facts. I don't think we're there to be public relations officials. And in my opinion, I think it clouds people's judgments when they go to events, some people's judgments. So I think that anyone that thinks their judgments would be clouded shouldn't be forced to attend an event or lobby if that would affect their judgment. I mean, people can still do that. If they think they can handle that, that's fine. They can do that. But if some people do not feel comfortable with doing that, then I think they should have the right to not do it.
Do you have a follow-up?
Yes. Representative Rowland, have you thought of another way for the two bodies to interact if you were to if this rule was removed from the standing rules?
The two bodies will still interact if this rule is removed from the standing rules because the chair still has to talk to the committee, or to the GSSF groups, it's my understanding, to tell them any procedural things, even if this is removed. And also, the entire aspect that we need to communicate, communicate's a very broad word. To communicate what they need to do to follow things is different than communicating what their group is about or something. Because communicating what their group is about can, in my opinion, affect some people's viewpoint neutrality. And I don't want that to happen to anyone on this council, and that's why I want to change this.
Do you have a final question? No. Are there any other questions for the speaker? Representative Vine?
Just specifically to make sure that I'm looking at the right things, the two things you want to remove for the lobbying language, you want to remove code of conduct, which is 13, and then 1, which says all committee members make all good faith efforts to respond in a timely manner to lobbying requests and attend any lobbying meeting requested of them, as well as attendance policy E, which says each SSC member is required to go to at least one GSSF event. Yeah.
I'm sorry, could you say those a little slower?
Sure. So I'll do it in terms of what they're both on the same page. They're both on page 5.
I have 13, and I dashed out 1,
okay.
and also 4 because that was also GSSF mixer. I kind of considered that. And then also E of 12.
Okay.
So each SSFC member is required to attend at least one GSSF event each semester.
Okay.
Were those the ones you were talking about?
Yes, I missed. I didn't mention 4, so that's the thing.
Did I not mention 4?
You mentioned 4. I didn't mention 4.
Do you have a follow-up?
I actually have a point of information. Is Section 4 about the 2 annual GSSF mixers something that wasn't enforced last year, or something that's new, or that didn't happen?
We never had a GSSF mixer.
Yeah.
So it just never got done. But
And
Yeah.
point of information, E is the part about requiring to go to one GSF event is
That was
that?
not enforced last year. It's now in the member job description that was sent out to everybody.
It was there last year though, right?
Yes, but it was not enforced.
Okay, got it. Okay, that's what I thought.
Do you have a final question?
No.
Are there any other questions for the speaker? I have a question.
Okay.
Do you know why SSFC members is a seconded position?
I'm sorry, can you say
Do you
that?
know why the SSFC member position is a stipended position?
Yes, it's just so that we can collect all information necessary.
Are there any other questions for the speaker? Seeing none, you may step down. Thank you. And last on the open forum list is Ron Crandall. Representative Crandall, you have 3 minutes to speak. Begin whenever you're ready.
Can someone motion to extend that?
Move to extend by like 2 minutes or something.
Is there a second?
I second. Hey everyone. So I've spent about the past 4 days going through different funding strategies used by all the Big Ten schools and all the Ivy League schools. And I have come to the conclusion that our forms and processes are similar to using Windows 98 compared to using Windows 7. It's like when those little error bars pop up in Windows 98, you keep on hitting OK, and the computer keeps on working, and then finally the computer just crashes. And that's what I see the system is going towards. I think that we need to have a complete revamp of the entire process. I think we need to revamp all of our forms. I think we need to go online. And I think we need to have better accountability between both the GSSFs and SSFC members by having all transactions online, just like almost every other government does. If there's a card transaction, it shows up online, and any student can look at it. They can see where their money is going. This is a must. So those are just some of the first few things I'd like to talk about. The second thing was some of Richie's, Representative Rowland's amendments. And I do agree philosophically that forcing members to go to an event or lobby meeting with a group can bias their judgment. However, I would strongly encourage members to get more information by going to those events and by going to the groups and asking them how they provide their direct services. So while I philosophically agree, and I will be voting in favor of that, I do encourage members to make sure that the group is actually providing their direct services. And then just going back a little bit back onto the forms and processes, I'd love to get in contact with each and every one of you over the summer to work on this. I think it's going to take a lot of commitment. I have great hope and trust in this new committee. I think that it's a lot of new faces. I think that we're all really excited and passionate to be on this body. And I think that next year is going to be a really great year, especially the chair of Brenda and vice chair and Evan. So, yeah.
Are there any questions for the speaker?
Okay.
Representative Vine?
So are you planning to take charge on the like technically internet-y type thing, or are we? Because I mean, we don't have it in the budget for any like special program or bill type person. So how do you propose getting that done?
Yeah, so I'm going to be trying to work on that over the summer to actually do that myself. However, it may come to the point, and it will come to the point where I won't be able to maintain that. And we'll have to figure out if we need to do an alteration or not, or add something for the year after's budget. But for next year, I should hopefully be able to do that by myself.
You have follow-up. Are there any other questions, Representative Nyberg?
Yeah, so, and I'm just gonna read the part where you were talking about, I guess, mandating people going to lobbying meetings. All committee members make all good faith attempts to respond in a timely manner to lobbying requests and attend any lobbying meeting requests of them. Would you feel that that's mandating members to do something, or just setting high expectations with trust that they will go about doing something?
Interesting argument. So I would say that because it's in our rules that they have to do it, at least from what I understand, that's a mandate. Now, if it's not, and that's just more of, and I've never heard of it being really enforced, and if it's not really enforced at all anyways, then I don't see why it should be in there regardless. I think it should be very public that we encourage all members of SFC to be a liaison to the groups, but I don't see it as having mandates.
Do you have a follow-up?
Yes, if we were to amend to amend as a board, the responsibilities of an SSC member attend an event or meet the leaders of each group applying for GSM funding at least once. Would you still be in favor of cutting off the expectation of lobbying meetings?
No.
Do you have a final question?
No, I do not.
Are there any other questions for the speaker? Seeing none, you may step down. Thank you. Is there anyone else who would like to speak in open forum? Are there any objections to closing open forum? Open forum is closed. New members, removal, or replacement of committee members? We have none. Adoption of the agenda. Is there a motion to adopt?
Move to amend the agenda, to add a guts advertising exemption to special orders.
It's on the agenda.
It is.
Yes.
Where is it?
First
First
item.
thing.
Adoption of new business, that, oh, there it is, okay, never mind.
Do you rescind your motion?
Yeah.
Are there any other motions? Representative Allen?
I move to amend, to have this page that was sent to us, I don't know, it says request for approval for volunteer participation, but it's about the Student Service Finance Committee and what their responsibilities are. I move to put that in special orders, would that be under, or?
I think that would be violating open meetings laws. So,
Okay, so
I'm not going to entertain that motion. Are there any other motions to amend or adopt? Representative Allen? Is there a second? Are there any objections to adopting the agenda? None. The agenda is adopted. Reading and approval of the minutes. Did everyone receive the minutes? Are there any motions to amend or approve?
Motion to approve. Move to approve.
Is there a second? Seeing no objections, those are approved. Eligibility hearings, we have none. Eligibility decisions, we have none. Budget hearings, we have none. Budget decisions, we have none. Budget appeals, we have none. New business. Guts advertising policy exception. So, to give you guys, I know some of you might not be familiar with our advertising policy. So, our advertising policy states that any GSSF advertising money, whatever they spend their money on, that needs to have the ASM logo and the ASM disclaimer on it. In the past, we've made exceptions for really small items like pens that they couldn't fit the logo on it because it would be, you couldn't really tell what it was. So in the past, what we've done is allow groups to just put funded in part by ASM. As long as that was on it, then that would be acceptable. But it's up to you guys to decide whether we want to stick to our you must have the logo on it to buy it, or if you would like to make an exception for that. Are there any questions from the chair? Seeing none, we will move into debate. Representative Nybart.
Motion to divide the question between pens and Post-its.
Is there a second? Second. Okay. So we'll start with the pens then. Representative Nybart.
A motion to put on funded in part by ASM.
Second.
Okay. Would anyone like to speak to that motion?
Yeah, I mean, just for clarification, funded in part by ASM with no logo and things like that. That's generally what we did last year. I think it's a pretty good common sense amendment to make small items like that, where it's not physically possible to print something as gigantic as our disclaimer is, and yeah, we should pass that.
Are there any other points of debate? Representative Crandall?
In the future, it might be good to add that items smaller than certain sizes don't have to have the logo.
Are there any other points of debate? Representative Bynes?
It's not a bad idea.
Representative Nybart?
Actually, in the advertising policy, there is something about flyers or banners that are a certain size. However, it's really hard to always judge the size of a pen universally, so I want to take that.
Vice Chair Vanden Auden.
Question.
The question has been called. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. All in favor of calling the question, please raise your placard. All opposed? Okay. The question has been called. All in favor
Unanimous
of...
consent.
There's been a motion for unanimous consent. Are there any objections? All right. With that, the pens will say funded in part by ASM. Representative Nybart.
I motion to have the ASM logo on the post-it, but not the disclaimer.
Second.
Okay. Are there any points of debate?
Yeah.
Nybart?
Yeah. So the reason I sought to do this is because it is much bigger than the area on a pen, surface area on a pen. However, it's not big enough to fit the whole ASM logo and disclaimer, so I think it was a good compromise.
Representative Vine?
It's also a really good common sense idea because people might see the disclaimer on the post and think they wrote that as part of their post and not make it get confused. So I think it's a great idea.
Are there any other points of debate?
Call the question. So,
This question's been called. Is there a second? All those in favor of calling the question?
unanimous consent.
I'm calling the question.
Oh, sorry.
All those in favor of calling the question, please raise your placard. All those opposed? All those in favor of?
Unanimous consent.
All right. Are there any objections? Seeing none, the post-it notes will have the logo on them. Next, we are on the SSC internal appeal form. So I'm going to yield to Representative Vines to discuss this one.
Point of information.
Yes.
Will we be taking this up tonight just because it's the first time anyone has ever seen it?
I emailed it out.
I mean, if they're ever discussing it in general.
If this body can decide if we want to take it up tonight. Would be my
Motion to not take it up tonight and just discuss it.
The point of I don't know. Well, our next meeting is going to be like a summer meeting, right?
Yes.
So in a couple of
and we will not be able to vote on this during the summer.
It's,
Can we add it?
Motion for 2-minute recess.
Yeah. Second.
Been a motion. Are there any objections? All right, then we're in recess.
if you send it to rules committee by a certain time, it just has to be vetted through rules committee because the process of standardization committee, it's not.
Can we not have this at the table since we're in recess? If you guys want to go outside and talk about it, just because I do. We're in recess, so.
Okay.
We just all stand up and go.
That's fine. I just feel
Because then you're like, yeah.
Now we're just in a meeting, so.
So it's
Would that work?
I just
So we
I just feel really weird about passing it.
That's kind of fine as long as could we
Yeah.
is are you sure that's not too late?
I don't know.
I'm listening during exam. I don't want you
Unless
to.
you
But so it's not, so we don't, this doesn't have to be if this is not like official before summer, that's fine.
We have to,
So-
yes, because no one's gonna be having any hearing.
Okay, cool, that works.
No, we're just gonna push it. Which would who it should be, is the church.
Well, since everyone's here, I call this meeting of the Student Services Finance Committee back to order. It is 7:08 p.m. We are still in the hearing room of the Student Activity Center. Chair Broker is still presiding. So we are on the SSC internal appeal form. So I'm going to yield to Representative Vines to introduce legislation, then we will move into question and answer.
All right, so we have a process that got into our standing rules, I want to say like 2 years ago, that was written by Kel Plowman. And what it does is it allows for an internal appeal of ASM, or an internal appeal on decisions. It's under it's on eligibility, it's on the first page of our standing rules. Eligibility hearings and standing rules number 7. And it talks about this whole process for internal appeals. We went through one last spring with MCSC's decision, and it's actually a pretty good process that allows us, to take another look at our decision, see if we made any incorrect findings of fact or anything like that, which can happen. But the catch is that they have to provide us with a written document, and the only things that we can discuss are things that are in the document. That document doesn't exist, so it's basically just giving them a blank piece of paper and saying, figure this out. So basically what I did, really simple, I pretty much just took the language from the standing rules and put it onto this form in the form of a question. And so just the big, huge, bold disclaimer at the top just says, in accordance with the SFC standing rules, the SFC can only debate and reconsider evidence directly mentioned in this document. And there are 3 questions. The first one, cite specific examples from your organization's eligibility decision where you believe the SFC engaged in incorrect finding of fact, incorrect interpretation of bylaws, or violated ASM procedures. Second one is, how did the alleged error made by SFC affect the outcome of the initial hearing? And the third question is, this space can be used to introduce new evidence for the SFC to take into consideration while reconsidering your group's eligibility. Please note that the SFC may disregard new evidence may disregard new evidence only if it explicitly contradicts existing evidence. So I ran this by Kale. He said it makes sense. It's really in line verbatim with what the thing in our standing rules is, just more clear cut to provide less confusion for groups. And yeah, feel free to ask me any questions.
Are there any questions for Representative Vines? Seeing none. Representative Steinberg?
Well, I shouldn't need a motion because it's a direct instruction on the led, but since,
Okay.
well, yeah.
Alright, so that will be taken up at the first fall meeting.
We can point of information, so not during the summer meeting, we can do this over the summer.
Well, I think we can do it over the summer, but rules can't take it up until the fall.
Okay, that works.
So, I mean,
Somebody has to move table.
I don't think so.
It's because
Okay.
Okay, next we are on
Just
approval of
remember.
forms. So all of these things, the only changes that were made to them are the names and dates on them. So we usually have to approve all those in a block. Representative Nyberg.
Motion to take these all up tonight. So from I to 19. Motion to take them all up tonight.
Is there a motion?
Second.
Second. Okay. All those in favor of taking all these up tonight, please raise your placard. All opposed. All right. We're going.
Motion to bulk these all, or put these all together in one vote, package all these together in one vote.
Is there a second? Are there any objections? Okay. All those in favor of taking these all together, please raise your placards. All opposed. Okay, so we'll be taking all of these up together. First, are there any questions for the chair on any of these?
So you didn't change anything on any of these names?
No, I did not. Representative Vines?
Yield.
you're not trying to trick
No.
Alright.
Do you have a follow-up?
No.
Representative Crandall?
No.
Are there any other questions? Okay, seeing none, I'll close question and answer. Are there any points of debate on Representative Crandall?
I would like to make sure that members of the committee actually read all of these forms before voting on them, but given that that probably didn't happen, I yield my time.
Yeah, I would encourage all of you to read the emails I send. I know I sent a lot. I'm really sorry that I sent so many emails. But whenever I send you an email, it's not something that's unimportant. So please make sure you read these forms. If you did not read them before this meeting tonight, make sure you read them immediately following the meeting so you know what these look like. Okay? Cool. Representative Vines.
Call the question.
There's been a motion to call the question. Is there a second? All those in favor of calling the question, please raise your placard. All opposed? The question has been called. All those in favor of approving forms 1 through 19, please raise your placards. All opposed? Those are approved. Okay, old business, adoption of the summer calendar. So, based on the doodle poll, which thank you all for answering that for me, we will be holding meetings on June 6th, July 20th, and August 23rd at 6:30 p.m. I will get rooms in one of the unions for those meetings, and I will notify all of you where those will be. I will not be here for the first two meetings, so Vice Chair Van Naden will be chairing those meetings.
Point of information.
Yes.
What was the third one?
August 23rd at
Okay.
6:30 p.m.
Thank you.
Point of information. All at 6:30 p.m. and all at the union.
Most likely, yes. Do you need me to repeat those? Everybody?
Yes.
Okay. June 6th at 6:30, July 20th at 6:30, August 23rd at 6:30. So that's we can take that as a motion for our summer calendar. We'll be able to adopt the summer calendar. Vines.
Motion to adopt the summer calendar.
Is there a second?
Second.
Are there any points of debate on the summer calendar?
Let's call the question.
There's been a motion to call the question. Is there a second? There's a second. All those in favor of calling the question?
Unanimous consent. Sorry.
All those in favor of calling the question, please raise your placards. All those opposed? The question has been called.
Unanimous consent.
There's been a motion for unanimous consent. Are there any objections? Seeing none, the summer calendar is adopted. We are now on to adoption of the fall calendar. So some people had wanted to wait till everyone's here to discuss this. The same people who were not here the last time to discuss this are not here tonight. However, I feel confident that everyone is aware of the time and dates of the meetings as we usually have them. Also, linking the date and time any other day and time would be in conflict with other meetings of other bodies of the ASM. So I would strongly encourage you all to adopt a fall calendar of Monday, Thursday at 6:30 p.m. Representative Rowland.
I call the question. Second.
Been a motion to call the question.
Point of information on what?
We didn't have a motion for the fall calendar, so I don't know what.
Oh, I thought we already.
Move.
Oh, sorry.
Representative Crandall.
Move to have Monday and Thursday at 6:30 p.m. be our meeting dates for the fall calendar.
Second.
Second. Are there any points of debate? Representative Crandall.
Move to call the question.
The motion to call the question. There's a second. All those in favor of calling the question, please raise your placard. All those opposed? The question has been called.
Unanimous consent.
There's been a motion for unanimous consent. Are there any objections? Seeing none, the fall calendar is adopted. We will be meeting Monday and Thursday nights at 6:30 p.m. Approval of the 2012-2013 SFC standing rules. I will first open myself up for questions for anyone who has questions on the standing rules. Are there any questions? Representative Nyberg.
I have one. It's kind of in line with the same question I asked Representative Crandall in the forum. So in the standing rules, there's nothing mandating SFC members to lobby. It's just that it's an expectation. Can you kind of speak to what pieces of the legislation have been passed by either previous SFCs or that you have constructed to, mandate students to lobby?
Sure. So the standing rules just say that you should make good faith efforts to attend lobby meetings as requested by GSSF groups. Your member position description, which you will need to sign, which you all have a copy of, I believe, in your agenda packet here, also says to make all efforts possible to accommodate meeting requests made by organizations. It also says that you must attend an event or meet with the leaders of each group applying for GSSF funding at least once. So it requires that you do that at least once, and then beyond that point, make a good effort to. It kind of reiterates within the standing rules that you should make a good effort to meet with people. So that's the only part that it would be mandated, and that was unanimously passed, I believe, by the previous SFC. So, I'm sorry, you can follow up. Representative Vines? Are there any other questions? Seeing none, we will move into debate on the standing rules. Representative Rowland.
I move to amend.
Okay. Okay.
Eligibility. Are you okay? Okay. Eligibility hearing standing rules 2. I'm going to ask up to 3 questions per turn on the speakers list, and then I'm adding unless if allowed to continue by a 2/3 vote.
Okay, can you please, that works. This is your amendment?
One of them. Well, no, I put it in its entire form, and then the underlined portions
Is
right
what you're
there.
adding.
Yes, just so that it's clear what I
Need that.
Second.
There's a second. Stand informal, please. So, okay, what you're gonna do here. So, you just put the motions to amend to add this to this section. So, right this part, the underlined part. Okay. All right. Are there any points of debate on the motion? Representative Vines?
I don't.
Can you speak?
Oh, I'm sorry. So I'm new at this. Representative Rowland, you can speak to your
Okay, I
motion.
spoke about this in open forum. I believe if we do change the form that we're signing later, that we should be allowed to ask more questions. And even if we don't change this, I think it is a good policy to ask more questions if there are questions needed, so there's no concern. So I'll be also adding more amendments.
Representative Nyberg, would you like to speak to your second?
Yeah, I wanted to speak opposing this. That's why I seconded it. I feel no need for this amendment just because it's already laid out in Robert's Rules of Order. And I feel as though it's universally allowed, regardless, and a 2/3 vote would be required anywho. I think it's just up to members of this body to be aware of Robert's Rules, because it is the practices in which we go about just a quorum of this body.
Representative Banks.
Yeah, I agree with Representative Nybart. I think the process is, I don't think there's really much of a point to the process. We've never had a situation where, I mean, you can obviously get on the speakers list as many times as you want. We've never had a situation where somebody really wasn't able to ask questions. And I think making it like a whole separate process and putting it in there that you could ask for an extension with a 2/3 vote, which you can, I understand it's kind of like a wonky part of Robert's Rules that I'm actually not that familiar with. But I don't think there's really any point to this. I think you can ask your questions. It allows enough people to get in on debate, and you can ask really just as many questions as you want. You just sometimes have to wait a little bit. But it worked fine last year. It's always seemed to work fine, and I don't really think there's much of a point to this.
I retract my motion. Or amendment. Rescind.
Can you still rescind his motion?
Okay. Okay.
Representative Andrioff.
Call the question.
The question.
Second.
Okay. All those in favor of calling the question, please raise your placard. All those opposed? The question has been called. All those in favor of amending eligibility hearing standing rules number 2 to include that speakers could, or let's see, to read, each committee member is allowed to ask up to 3 questions per turn on the speakers list unless if allowed to continue by a 2/3 vote. All those in favor, please raise your placards. All those opposed? That motion fails. Are there any other motions to amend or approve?
Point of information.
Yes.
Is there unanimous dissent?
Not that I am aware of, but we can look into that.
Okay.
Representative Rowan.
Would you, well, this is point of information, would you, consider spelling errors and grammar errors to be friendly amendments?
Yes. Yeah, there's really no such thing as friendly amendments, but I would prefer that we don't.
Okay, I could just give it to rules.
Yeah.
Okay, and sorry, I was a little nitpicky today about this. Okay,
Representative Rowan.
Okay, I move to amend standing rules regarding other SSFC business. 1, to include after an advisory vote, put a comma, a space, and a questioning. And I have a report.
I really don't think that we need to do it that way. If you give me all of those, could I motion to correct all the grammar?
No, this isn't a grammar mistake.
Where is?
Okay, I talked about this in. Okay. This is what it reads now. Any SSFC committee member who has held or is holding a paid position of leadership position within a GSSF organization, except the ASM, must recuse themselves from the eligibility vote, any budgetary votes, and debate pertaining to that organization. What I want to add is questioning to that, so they must recuse themselves from the
I
question.
apologize, I thought you were motioning to add a question mark. Is there a second? There's a second. Representative Rowan, would you like to speak to your motion?
Yes, we had this with a student council member during the MCSC eligibility hearing when it was sent to student council. And he was part of the head of the MCSC, and I kind of found it inappropriate that he was able to answer questions in the Q&A session. And I think because he has to recuse himself from everything else, or she has to recuse herself from everything else, that it is a good idea to recuse them from also questioning.
Representative Nyberg?
Yeah, not to be nitpicky on any specific group, but just in general, I think it's inappropriate for members who are either in a leadership position or have been highly involved in an organization within the past 6 months to not be engaged in the eligibility hearing or decision or budgetary hearing or decision outside of their capacity as a member of the group. So that means, like, if they are presiding over this hearing, it's kind of could be subconsciously a violation of viewpoint neutrality or consciously a violation of viewpoint neutrality if they participate. I know that there's been SFC members members who have purposefully recused themselves, just to ensure that every group is treated fairly regardless of participation of individual members' capacities and groups.
Representative Vines.
Kind of point of information, you mentioned
On
within
point.
6 months, I mean, this says who's ever held a paid position, this does no stipulation within 6 months, correct? So if they've held a paid leadership position like 2 years ago, they still wouldn't be able to do any of this, is that correct? I'll yield to you, can't do that, but.
I would guess so. Representative Everett.
Yeah, so yes, paid positions ever, but if you've been highly involved in a group within the past 6 months, that was what I held this body to last year. And it's kind of just standard, which chairs have done for the past 6 months, it's really up to the chair to which standard he or she says for the body.
Representative Crandall.
I completely support this amendment.
Are there any other points of debate? Representative Crandall.
Move to call the question.
Objection?
You actually cannot object to calling the question. And it is also not debatable, so all those in favor of calling the question, please raise your placard. All those opposed? The question has been called. All those in favor of amending the standing rules regarding other SFC business to add questioning that any SFC member who has held or is holding a paid position or leadership position within a GSSF organization except the ASM must recuse themselves from the eligibility vote, any budgetary votes, questioning, and debate pertaining to that organization. All those in favor, please raise your placard. All those opposed. And that motion passes.
Point of information, is that not being able to object to a call to question no?
No, that's old. We just have never paid attention to it.
Oh, I don't like that one.
I believe the logic behind it is that you can vote no because it's not debatable, so there will be an immediate vote after calling of the question, so you can voice your objection by
But
voting
it's
no.
majority, okay, right.
And it's actually 2/3.
Mm-hmm.
Representative Roland.
I move to amend 9 under monetary hearing standing rules to change it to strike not, to strike not after will, and, I can read it, the whole thing in its entirety as it is now and then after. The first unintentional wage violation will not be brought to the committee but handled by the chair. I'm changing that to the first unintentional wage violation will be handled by the chair, and the chair shall inform the committee in his/her next chair report about the violation.
Second.
Would you like to speak to your motion, Representative Roland?
Yeah, this is just so that we have in our standing rules that the chair should inform, because right now I know most chairs would never do this, and I don't expect the current chair to do this, but I think it should just be made clear that we have a process so that we know that these things are going on. If that makes any sense.
Representative Vines, would you like to speak to your second?
Yeah, I don't think that's a bad idea.
Are there any other points of debate?
Move to call the question.
The question's been called. All those in favor of calling the question, please raise your placard. All those opposed? The question has been called.
Unanimous consent.
There's been a motion for unanimous consent. Are there any objections? Seeing none, that amendment passes. Are there any other motions to Representative Roland?
I move to amend standing rules regarding other SSFC business, and that would be 12E attendance policy, and I will be striking out the entire attendance policy. The strikeout includes each SSFC member is required to go to at least one GSSF event each semester. They are on SSFC. Failure to attend an event will count as an unexcused absence. At the event, you must sign in and let the SSFC chair know so they can contact the group as a follow-up.
Second.
There's been a second. Is that the entire attendance policy?
No, just the,
No, just E.
I thought that's what.
Entire attendance
You
policy.
said the entire attendance policy.
Oh, you said under E.
Oh,
Under
I'm
E.
sorry.
Okay, so my point in this is, as I spoke in open forum, that I really do believe that if a member does not feel comfortable with attending this, they shouldn't. And I know that this isn't binding, but I think it's important that we get rid of this if we do believe in that, and then we also do other things, but I can't speak to that because that's not germane right now. And that's my opinion on it.
Representative Crandall, would you like to speak to your second?
Yes, so I agree with what Representative Rowland said in open forum about this specific area. I think we should make sure that we're not trying to force anyone, and the standing rules is our customary procedures, and I don't like having to have in our customary procedures that we require to go to an event. I don't even think one event is even good enough for getting any information about the group regardless. I think they should go to multiple events if they want to get more information. So I think this is just, it's bad both ways, either in not or in going. So yeah, that's why I supported this.
Representative Nygaard.
Yeah, there's a reason why I didn't enforce this last year. It's because I feel, first of all, it's frivolous to mandate any student to do anything through legislation or a rule. Second of all, if you do not want to go to an event that's paid by for your SENC fees, not reap the benefits of your student fees, that's your problem. I can't coerce you, or the chair can't coerce you to do so. I also feel as though going to an event, unless it is inherently a lobby meeting at the event, you're not going to get that information. And if it's just going to an event, you're going to definitely have a great time. I've been to many GSF groups events, but it was purely for social means, and also because I'm a student, I have every opportunity to go to these take advantage of these opportunities outside my capacity in SFC. So I'm in full support of this.
Vice Chair Vanden Aven.
Call the question.
There's been a motion to call the question. Is there a second?
Second.
Second. All those in favor of calling the question, please raise your placards. All those opposed? Question's been called. All those in favor of amending, did you give me that? Oh, all those in favor of striking E under the attendance policy, please raise your placards. Opposed? That motion passes. Are there, Representative Rowland?
I move to amend under the same section, 13, Code of Conduct 1. I will be striking that out. All committee members make all good faith attempts to respond in a timely manner to lobbying requests and attend any lobbying meeting requested of them.
Second.
Would you like to speak to the motion?
The same thing as I said last time. I just believe that if members aren't feel comfortable with lobbying and VPN, and I know we need to change other things as well, that I think that this should not be mandated in our rules. That's my opinion.
Representative Mines.
Okay, I seconded this because I didn't disagree with this, because I do disagree with this. I think this doesn't mandate anybody to do anything. As opposed to, contrary to the event thing, there are no repercussions or unexcused absence type deal for not doing this. All that it's saying that if a group reaches out to you, you should make a good faith effort to meet with them. This is not that you have to go to each group and reach out to them and lobby, which I do think you should do, which I kind of do think is part of your job, but fine, okay. But I think if a group reaches out to you and they tell you that you as somebody who is responsible for overseeing their eligibility of their budget and making an informed decision that they want to do with you and talk with you, that it is your responsibility and your job to meet with them. Because you talk about everything happening, in Q&A with the presentation. Fact of the matter is the restrictions of Robert's rules and a large committee make it pretty difficult to discuss more in-depth things, kind of more complicated things. And it's really good to be familiar with the budget and ask them a bunch of one-on-one questions before their meeting or after their first meeting or after their presentation before you vote. So again, this doesn't mandate anything at all. It really doesn't mean that much, I hate to say it, but we should definitely be encouraging people to be lobbying and to be making good faith efforts to respond to groups, and I'm totally against this.
Representative Nygaard.
Yeah, whenever you even talk to a group member one-on-one, you are required to fill out a lobbying disclosure form. So it's almost impossible to not lobby with at least one group member through this whole SFC budget cycle. There's no way that each and every one of you can understand the group thoroughly with their 15-minute presentation and their question and answer and your additional questions and answers, especially if you're new to this body. I think that this addendum into the standing rules sets an expectation of SFC. It's not mandating anyone to do anything. And I think that it's really important for you to build relationships with these GSF group members because you are in a collaborative relationship. You are the funders of their services, so regardless of what you think of them, it's really important to build those relationships and cultivate them. As well as, I think if you have an issue with remaining within VPN because of these lobby meetings, you should not be on SMC.
Or Vice Chair Vanden Avond.
Call the question.
There's been a motion to call the question. Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor of calling the question, please raise your placards. All opposed? Okay, the question has been called. All those in favor of amending to strike, can you repeat the portion you're striking?
All committee members make all good faith attempts to respond in a timely manner to lobbying requests and attend any lobbying meeting requested of them.
And that's code of conduct.
Code of conduct number 1.
13-1.
All those in favor of striking code of conduct 13-1, please raise your placards. All those opposed? That motion fails. Are there any other motions to amend or adopt? Representative Crandall.
Move to amend 13 Code of Conduct 1. All committee members make all good faith attempts to respond in a timely manner to lobbying requests and attend any lobbying meetings requested of them. 2. All committee members make all good faith attempts to respond to lobbying requests and attend any lobbying meetings requested of them.
Second? What's the information?
I'm going
Without in a timely manner.
Second. I got second.
Okay, Representative Crandall, would you like to speak to your motion?
Yeah, I just have all bunch of problems with this part here. It's just so unclear and so abstract. Good faith means honest or in sincerity, which I can understand in this context. However, in a timely manner, that means nothing. So I think just getting rid of that, and it makes it much more clear that just need to respond to the request. Simple as that.
Representative Pine, or speak your second?
Yeah, no. I mean, in a timely manner, it doesn't mean anything concrete, but it means that if a group reaches out to you, you can't respond to them a month later and say, I responded to them. Again, this has no teeth to it. It doesn't really do anything, but it's just trying to make us responsible to make sure that we meet with these groups and attend lobby meetings and don't blow them off intentionally and cover that under like vague language. So no, it's fine the way it is, and I would be voting against it.
Representative Wall?
Is a second allowed to be against a motion?
Yes. Representative
Yeah, so I think that I understand where this is coming from. I think we've had conversations about what certain words mean now, the debate, a lot of directives, et cetera, whatever. However, I think in this instance, it means kind of a prompt manner. So I would ask somebody to, if people are really gung-ho about nixing this good faith effort, I would ask you to motion to amend it to say all committee members shall make attempts to respond in a prompt manner, just to ensure that we are being, I guess, responsible and also responsive to lobbying requests.
Representative Momstad.
Isn't this a little nitpicky? In a timely manner. It's a timely manner. We're trying to be, prompt about this. We're not going to be, you don't want to wait a month before you respond. I think we're all, want to be a part of this committee. We're, committed to it, and we're going to be as timely as we can be with anything. I think it's kind of nitpicky.
Representative Vines.
Move to amend the amendment to include the words in a prompt manner.
Second.
There's no second. Are there any would you like to speak to your amendment?
Yeah, I think this is the first time I've ever agreed with somebody wearing a Yankees jersey. I'm still like, I think we should change this to keep it in a prompt manner, like Sarah said.
Representative Nyberg would like to speak to your second.
Yeah, I think it cuts out the whole good faith, sincere, emotional part of this line, and it adds it just kind of clear and good.
Representative Vines.
Call the question.
There's been a motion for the question. Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor of calling the question, please raise your placards. All those opposed? question has been called.
Unanimous consent.
There's been a motion for unanimous consent.
Point of information, what are we voting on?
I'm getting there. All right. Well, can you send your amendment and your amendment to me and the secretary in
I don't
writing?
remember what his amendment is.
Yes.
Probably there somewhere.
I have a copy of the straight down. You want me to write it down too?
That would be fine, thank you.
Someone repeat their motion, please. Repeat it, please.
Move to amend Section 13 Code of Conduct 1. All committee members make all good faith attempts to respond in a timely manner to lobbying requests and attend any lobbying meeting requested of them. To all committee members make all good faith attempts to respond to lobbying requests and attend any lobbying meeting requested of them.
In a prompt manner. We are now voting on amending the amendment to say it will be in a prompt manner. All those in favor, please raise your placards. All those opposed? That amendment to the amendment passes. We are now on the original amendment. Representative Vines.
Okay, so I'm super thrilled that my awesome amendment to the amendment passed. I still think we should vote no on this entire thing because I don't think there's a point to it. That's called making it less bad. I don't think there's a point to it. What we have here is good. I don't know why keep taking out good faith is something that we really, no, but that's, what we have here works now. It's encouraging people to make a good faith effort to reach out to people and lobby with them and do our jobs and get as much information as possible. I don't think there's any reason to vote for this. What we have here is great.
Representative Crandall, is your motion to take out good faith or just take out timely manner?
My motion was only to take out timely manner.
Okay, just so everyone is aware, good faith is still in the motion. This is to amend it to say all good faith efforts and ends with any prompt.
The entire.
Okay. Are there any other points of debate? Representative Navarre. There's just all those in favor of calling the question, please raise your placards. All those opposed? Question has been called. All those in favor of amending to read, all committee members make all good faith attempts to respond in a prompt manner to lobbying requests and attend any lobbying meeting requested of them. All those in favor, please raise your placards.
Yes.
All opposed? That amendment passes. Representative Rowland.
I move to amend 13 Code of Conduct 4 and strike out all committee members are required to attend the 2 annual GSSF mixers, 1 during eligibility and 1 during degree.
Second.
There's a second. Would you like to speak to your motion?
Yes, the GSSF mixers weren't done last year. It's not needed in our bylaws because we don't do them, so just get rid of that, make it simpler.
Representative Crandall, would you like to speak to your second?
Yes. This has nothing to do with code of conduct of behavior. I think we should have them. There's no reason for them to be in the code of conduct.
Point of information.
Point.
Are we planning on having GSSF mixers this year, and did we have them in years past before?
I can't speak to any years before last year, but they were not had last year. They did occur prior to that, apparently. I was intending on having a joint training between GSSF groups and SFC, and if I do have that, that will be mandatory. So that's not a mixer, that's a training.
Point of information. What exactly is a GSSF mixer? It kind of sounds like a karaoke bar.
The GSSF mixer was intended to allow GSSF members, leadership teams, whatever, to mixer with SOC members. I really have no idea. I'll yield to Representative Navarre.
Yeah, well, so GSM mixture was pretty much like a social. Yeah, not karaoke bar. It's kind of like in a hearing room with snacks. There was food. It's very similar to like the little SFC parties we held during SFC. The reason why I didn't do them is because they were very inappropriate when the chair before me was chair. And also, I think that I took the same route as Chair Brooker, saying that I wanted to have power and privilege training or other trainings. However, that wasn't feasible last year.
Representative Harris.
I don't know. I can't really speak to how they were inappropriate last year. But I think well, the year before last year, not during your term. But I think they are very valuable. I think one of the biggest things that we should just keep in mind is that the groups kind of feel like this body isn't open. Like isn't we can't talk to you guys. We can't be social. You can't you guys are not open to our ideas. Not open to listening to us. Different things like that. I think a mixer is just a good way of just interacting. I know it may not be a big thing, but I think that just to make sure that the climate is right for next year, for this upcoming term, just to make sure that we are showing in all good faith that that we're listening to everybody, even though this may seem like it may not be our duty. We're supposed to be here to do, we're supposed to be here to look at eligibility and approve budgets. But something as small as a social once a semester, I don't think is going to be too bad. I think it'll be really beneficial for the climate for next year.
Representative Vines.
Yeah, I don't know why y'all don't want me to attend parties with free food, but I think that honestly, if it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. This seems like, as Secretary Harris said, it seems like a good event where we could meet and interact with people in GSF groups. So I have no problem with this, and I don't think we should take to leave this out of the bylaws.
Representative Schlick. Did I say that right?
Yes, correct. Yeah, you don't want to screw that up.
Yeah.
Were these mixers being
Please direct all questions to the chair.
Oh,
sorry. No, it's okay.
Were these events being inappropriate? I'm just not understanding if this was exclusive to the chair during that time, or if that had to do with just the mixers in general.
I think I can answer that. Yes, it was with that chair. Yes. Did you have a point of debate or just?
No, just question.
All right, Representative Navarro.
Yeah, so what I'm going to say is that these aren't free. Your site fees pay for them, which is one of my biggest pet peeves. But I'm not opposed to having mixers or socials or getting to know groups. I think a lot of members of SFC last year had really close relationships with members of GSF group, and that's amazing. My issue with this is the mandated part of a GSF mixer. And I also feel as though a mixer is really not conducive to anything. I really am in the school of thought you should never do anything unless you're gaining some sort of product, tangible or intangible from it. And I don't think a mixer is giving you that. I think training is fine with that, and I'd be fine if we amend this to training with the GSF, because I think that's great to collaborate and kind of learn from them, they can learn from us. However, I'm totally for this amendment.
Point of information.
On point.
If this were required and mandated, could hypothetically, if there was a conflict for a group member, just send in like an excused absence form, and the chair would be like, okay, no big deal.
If it's mandated, I would expect everyone to be there. Mandatory means you're there. It's not.
So there would be no excused absence component.
In general, if something is mandated, I'm not gonna. There's not going to be an excuse. It would be unexcused.
Point of information.
On point.
I'm just curious with this. It's not a debate or anything, but how would lobbying disclosure forms work with this? So would we have to fill out one with everything? So we would have to keep track of everyone we talk to about anything mostly.
You have to anyway.
No, I know that, but I know, but I mean, it would kind of be hard.
Yeah, you need to fill out lobbying disclosure forms anytime
I
you
know.
discuss any SFC business with someone from a
Yeah, I know that. I was just making sure.
Did you have a follow-up?
No.
Representative Crandall.
Yeah, so I just wanted to state for the record what Wikipedia says a mixer is. A singles dance party and mixer is a party which is organized for people who are not married and who want to find a partner for friendship, dating, or sex. Usually a mixer game is played to make it easy for people to meet each other. For example, each guest may be given a card with an inspiring quotation on it. The game is to find someone of the opposite sex who has the same quotation. Couples who have matching cards may be given a small prize. These parties are sponsored by various organizations, both non-profit and for-profit. I would like to say that I think it's very inappropriate to have this in our code of conduct. If this is what Wikipedia says is what a mixer is, now that I know what a mixer is, I highly stress that we should get rid of this, and I think that we should. I would love to attend a social with all the GSSFs, and I will fill out all the lobbying disclosure forms for such. I think that's a great idea. I think we should have one in early fall. However, I wouldn't call it a mixer. I would call it a social at the least. And I would strongly support any idea the chair said of having trainings, of having a group-to-group training with the GS7 SFC. I think that's a great idea too. I strongly do not want to have mixer in our code of conduct.
Thank you for that enlightening bit of information. I would also like to say that I will now be using the inspirational quote cards at our retreats. So that'll be really fun. Representative Rowland.
So they clear up everything.
Representative Vines.
Move to require 5 annual GSF mixtures per semester.
I'm not going to enter. Vice Chair Vanden. There's no motion to call the question. There's no second. All those in favor of calling the question, please raise your placard. All those opposed. The question has been called.
Unanimous consent.
There's been a motion for unanimous.
Objection.
Alright, there's an objection. All those in favor of striking, what portion is that? Can you please repeat it?
13-4.
All those in favor of striking 13-4, GSSF mixers, please raise your placards. All those opposed? That motion passes. Are there any other motions to amend or approve? Representative Rowland?
Just amended. We made it through, people. Okay. 13 legal counsel. I think I can put this all together because it's all under D. Okay. This is how it reads as of now. Legal counsel position. D3. In the event of an unexcused absence or failure to listen to the audio recordings of missed required meetings, the following actions will be taken. A. First occurrence. The SSFC chair will verbally warn the legal counsel. A written verification that a verbal warning was received may be requested. B. Second occurrence. The SSFC chair will warn the legal counsel in writing. Again, a written verification receipt may be requested. C. Third occurrence. The SSFC chair will recommend to the nominations board that they consider, in closed session, suspension or termination. D. Fourth occurrence. The legal counsel will be terminated. Okay. Now I'm going to amend it to 13. Legal counsel position. D3. In the event of an unexcused absence or failure to listen to the audio recordings of missed required meetings, the following actions will be taken. A. First occurrence, the SSFC chair will verbally warn the legal counsel. A written verification that a verbal warning was received may be requested. The SSFC chair will tell the committee of this unexcused absence. B. Second occurrence, the SSFC chair will warn the legal counsel in writing. Again, a written verification of receipt may be requested. The SSFC chair will tell the committee of this unexcused absence. Third occurrence, the SSFC chair will recommend to the nomination board that they consider a closed session, suspension, or termination. The SSFC chair will tell the committee of this unexcused absence and the chair's conversation with the nominations board. D. Fourth occurrence, the legal counsel will be terminated. The SSFC chair will tell the committee of this unexcused absence and the legal counsel's termination.
Second.
Second, would you like to speak to that motion?
I think it just makes it more clear and allows for it to be on the record of what they're doing with people's safeties.
Representative Vine, would you like to speak to your second?
I like the use of repetition as a rhetorical style that was employed there by Representative Rowland. I mean, this will probably, especially, I think actually in all seriousness, for A and B and C, it's not a bad idea to have in there. I'm sure the SSFC chair would notify us anyway, so it's probably really not that much of a point. There's really not that much of a point to put these in writing, especially for the later ones. But sure, I'm not going to fight it.
Actually, I was just going to yield to you, Representative Nyberg. Yeah. I was just actually going to ask, this is for the legal counsel position? Yeah. Did the legal counsel this year ever attend any of our meetings?
No, because it's only required by when the chair asks.
Okay. Thank you. Vice Chair Vanden.
Call the question.
There's been a motion to call the question. Is there a second?
Second.
Those in favor of calling the question, please raise your placards. All opposed? Question has been called. All those in favor of amending to add the SOC chair will tell the committee of this unexcused absence, conversation, unexcused absence, termination. All those in favor of amending, please raise your placards. All those opposed? That motion passes. For the record, I'll be telling you guys about those things anyway, so I'll let you. Representative Rowland.
I call the question.
Objection.
Objection.
There, you can't object to calling the
Okay.
question, but all those in favor of calling the question, please raise your placards. All those opposed? That motion fails. Are there any other points of debate on the standing rules? Representative Hubbard.
I motion to add under monetary hearing standing rules that eligible organizations can only receive up to $250,000 of student segregated fees.
Second.
Point of information where in the monetary
Under
hearings?
any must, so yes, 11. Monetary hearing standing rules number 11.
Would you like to speak to your motion?
Yep. I think $250,000 is a huge amount of money. I believe that even many small businesses do not even manage a budget that large, and I don't see that any organization feasibly actually able to expense that funds over $250,000.
Representative Rowland, would you like to speak to your second?
I totally agree with Representative Nygaard. We're talking about the students' money here, and I think it's we need to protect the students' segregated fees and not raise them. And I think this will help doing that.
Representative Fines.
Okay, I'm looking for, was not anticipating this, so, let me just get a couple things on record. Damn it, I have no idea what it is, whatever, I'll do it live. First of all, the GSSF is a tremendously, very small portion of student segregated fees, and if we're trying to really reduce segregated fees, it is completely impossible, we will not do that unless we reform non-allocables or a lot of much larger things by adding this cap. So if you think adding this cap will reduce segregated fees, you're wrong. In terms of, I'm kind of concerned in terms of how this was rushed, how I think this is something that deserves much more of a debate. This is a really serious issue that has large ramifications that should be discussed honestly, I think, in the entire committee as part of the spring session if we're going to do this. Because I think a lot of groups have already started crafting their budget. There are a lot of groups who we have approved budgets for that are very, very close, if not over $250,000 in the past few years. I think that these groups have shown that this money is necessary in order to directly serve students, in order to put on their services as completely as possible. And putting it that close to a number that some groups have already been over or have been very close to, I think you could make a case that it's discriminating against those groups, which we can't do. And I'm really concerned about how this process is coming up. If this is something that people really want to take up over spring, I'll disagree with it, but I think at least we'll have time to discuss this now. This is not something we should do lightly, or honestly, I think most people should be voting on without having been on this committee and seeing how these budgets work. I don't think anybody should be voting on this if they haven't seen a budget, and I really don't think this is the time to do this at all.
Representative Crandall.
Yeah, so I agree with Representative Nygaard for bringing this motion to the table. While I do see the concerns of Representative Vines about the timeline of this, I have always been in agreement of having a cap. I don't think it has anything to do with decreasing seg fees. I think we should have more groups partaking of seg fees. I don't see it as that's the argument at case here. The other part of this, I guess, is that my philosophy dictate that I would be in favor of this cap just given from my political stance. So, yeah.
Representative Nygaard.
So I actually didn't bring this. I actually just thought I bring this motion to the floor. I'm not actually in favor or opposed to this motion. The reason I brought it to the floor because this was a conversation that 17 session had, and this is a conversation that 18 session had. And I think it's really important for all of you to have this conversation to define what you feel as though your role as members of the SUFAC will be. going forward and to decide of how you want to be administering the financial guidelines. So personally, I actually disagree with the captain at JSSF. However, I think this is really important for you all to have this conversation.
Point of information.
Good point.
How many could you, I mean, I'm sure you don't have this offhand, but can you name the groups over the past, I don't know, 2 or 3 fiscal years that have had budgets of over $200,000?
In just a second. One.
How much, which one is it?
It is
Out of curiosity. Okay, fine. There's
Yeah.
no group.
There's been one group.
Okay.
Point of information.
On
Can you
point.
speak against your motion?
No, you cannot. I apologize. Don't do that. Okay. I represent Schlitt. Oh goodness, I'm so sorry.
Quarter.
No worries.
Keeping track.
No, just really, I was gonna mention too, I wouldn't feel comfortable voting on something, I'm agreeing with Representative Fines that I wouldn't feel comfortable voting on something like this with my lack of knowledge of the committee, lack of experience.
Representative Qualiana.
Ditto.
Alright. Representative Momsen.
I would also agree. I have no idea. I mean, we haven't seen budgets. We don't really know how much money we're actually dealing with here. And I have no idea. I don't know what to do.
Representative Harris.
I agree.
Representative Van den Oven.
Call the question.
There's been a motion to call the question. Is there a second? All those in favor of calling the question, please raise your placards. All those opposed? That motion carries. Question has been called. All those in favor of amending the monetary something, I don't know. The monetary hearings standing rules to add no eligible organization may receive a budget over $250,000. All those in favor, please raise your placards. All opposed? And that motion fails. Are there any other motions to amend or approve the standing rules? Representative Vines.
Move to approve.
Second.
There's been a motion to approve and a second. Are there any points of debate on the standing rules? Representative Crandall.
I think we just had them.
That is quite true. Are there any other points of debate? Vice Chair Van den Oven.
Call the question.
There's been a motion to call the question. Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor of calling the question, please raise your placard. All those opposed? Okay, the question has been called. All those in favor of approving the standing rules for 2012-2013 as amended, please raise your placards. All those opposed? And the 2012-2013 SFC standing rules are approved. Special orders. First up, we have the Student Transportation Board appointment. So, the Student Transportation Board, as I'm told, was trying to change their bylaws to allow for more appointments from SFC. However, those did not get through 18th session Student Council. So, as of right now, only one person can sit on the Student Transportation Board. Vice Chair Van den Oven is supposed to chair the meetings of the Student Transportation Board, so I would strongly encourage you to nominate and approve him. However, if you feel that he's not qualified.
What information?
On point.
Isn't he already on because he's vice chair of SFC in the new bylaws in the past?
Yes, but from my reading of it, we still had to technically appoint him. Okay. You can motion to overrule me on it. I just thought that from my reading of it was that we had to appoint him. Personally, I don't think it would hurt anything if we formally appointed him.
Point of information now, if we have a limited number of SFC seats, would he take, I mean, could somebody else go in on it?
I don't know that I have more information than what you all have. I think that it's also true that I think if Student Transportation Board wanted to increase it did not pass 18th session council. I would expect it would come up again in 19th session council so that more SFC seats could be added at a future point in time. Point one. Point two. If it says, I think it says different things in different places. So I believe it states in the vice chair job description that you sit on Student Transportation Board. It also states elsewhere that we need to appoint somebody. So I guess it's up to you if you think those two things cancel each other out, or you want to take the extra step.
Point of information, did we, sorry.
I was just going to say, From my reading of the vice chair job description, it is his job to sit on student transportation board. From my reading of the current student transportation board bylaws, we get one appointment. The vice chair is not automatically on. In what they were trying to change them to, the vice chair would automatically be on. That was what I understood from it.
Point of information, did we appoint Chase last year, or did he just roll that?
We did not appoint him last year. Representative Nyberg.
Yeah, so you be.
Well, I was still in question and answer, but are there any other
It was a
questions?
closed question and answer.
Representative Nyberg.
Yeah, so I sit on student transportation board as a student council representative. And we had this conversation last night or 2 nights ago, about if the new bylaws pass, what would that mean about individuals who, let's say, would not have their seat anymore? And what I told them is that you can't retroactively approve something. So if we made appointments now, you can't just take away those people's appointments. Those appointments would then have to be revamped for the next session. So we are still operating the old bylaws, which the vice chair is automatically appointed to that body.
Where does it say that in the student transportation board bylaws? Because
the old ones.
Yeah.
They actually never had formal bylaws. They never had formal bylaws. It was just in the student transportation board is under one of the. I think it's an SFC. I don't know what it is. They don't have formal bylaws currently. That's how they've been operating for the past 5 years.
Okay. Representative Rowland.
I nominate Representative Vines.
There's been a nomination for Representative Vines. Is there a second?
Second.
Representative Vines, do you accept?
Can I not accept after asking I have a couple questions. Yeah, just so when are the meetings, and it's bi-month, is it like no, it's
Tuesdays 5:30 to 7:30.
Every Tuesday? 5:30 7:30. Delete this for a second. Can I ask quickly?
Yeah.
Okay, cool, thank you. How many seats are there total? Just one?
I don't know now. I thought that I was told something else than what Representative Nyberg says. So.
Okay. Then I accept.
Representative Qualiana?
Point of question.
Oh,
Can we appoint him and have Van den Aven still serve on the committee as well, or can they not serve concurrently? Can they both be on the committee is what I'm asking.
Can I have information?
Yes.
Was Justin Blush SFC appointee?
Yes.
Yeah, last session.
Yes.
And Chase Wilson also sat on the body?
Yes.
And sorry, point of information. How many people did we have on the body last year? Because I know Laura was there. And did she just fill Justin's spot?
I filled Justin's spot.
Okay. Fine. Sure. I accept.
Move to close nominations.
There's been a motion to close nominations. Would you like to speak to your
Sure.
nomination?
I think Representative Vines will be great for this. He's a critical thinker, and I think he will make sure that students segregated fees are done responsibly, and also services are not cut tremendously because of it. I think he can balance both issues. I think he can work with both sides, even though he has strong opinions on things. He is able to listen to other people's views, including mine, which are very different.
Seconded that.
I did. In the interest of time, though.
Would you like to speak to your second? You have 3 minutes to speak to your nomination, Representative Vines.
Thank you very much, Richard. I appreciate that. So I think, especially with some of the issues that came up last year in terms of really inaction, in terms of our funding of SafeCab or creating an alternative, more cost-effective version of SafeCab. And also I know a lot of really important issues in terms of cutting buses around the campus are coming up. And I also heard that this body has been kind of hostile towards shared governance, so I think it can't hurt to have somebody who's been on this body before kind of step in there, work with Joe, and I'd be glad to do that.
The floor is now open for questions for the candidate. Representative Nyberg.
Motion to postpone this until fall.
There's been a motion.
I'd be down with that.
Second.
There's been a second. Are there any points of debate on postponing this to
Point of information. Do we need to have a date for postponing it to?
the first meeting of fall? The first fall meeting. Are there any points of debate? Okay, then I'm going to call the question. Is all those in favor of calling the question, please raise your placards. All those opposed? Okay. All those in favor of postponing this until the first meeting of fall, please raise your placards. All those opposed? Right. That is postponed until fall. Student Activity Center Governing Board appointment. I am positive there's only one. So, we've got that. I sat on Student Activity Center Governing Board last semester, or, well, last year. Last session, sorry. It's really fun. It's awesome. So what Student Activity Center Governing Board does, the majority of their responsibility is to allocate office space to student organizations. The time commitment is rather small for the majority of the year. Meetings are Tuesdays, I think, at 5:45, and in general they last 45 minutes or less. They do have an allocation season where it's about 2 or 3 weeks where they're longer meetings, and there are 2 Sunday meetings that are about 5 hours long. That sounds really long, but they're really not that at all. You get to interact with a lot of student organizations, and that's really cool. So we get one appointee. Are there any nominations for the Student Activity Center Governing Board appointment? Super fun. Bueller? That's not rolling.
I'm going to nominate David Vines.
There's been a motion to nominate Representative Vines. Is there a second?
Second.
Representative Vines, do you accept?
I appreciate that, but if I'm gonna do a student transportation board or anything, I'd rather keep my options open.
Okay.
Motion to postpone this till the first meeting of fall.
They would really like this done now, but they would like to do that. Are there any points of debate on postponing to fall? Then we call the question. All those in favor of calling the question on postponing until the first meeting of fall, please raise your hands.
You postponed.
Opposed? All those in favor of postponing until fall, the first meeting of fall, please raise your placards. All opposed? That is postponed until the first meeting of fall. All right. Lastly, we have leave of absence for Representative Diaz. Okay, so Representative Diaz is going to be home for the summer, and when he's in Madison, he'll be working for the People program, and that's a 24-hour job. I believe that he lives with the people in the program. So he will not be able to make it to any of the summer session meetings. Are there any points of debate? Well, are there any questions for the chair on this? Are there any points of debate? Vice Chair Van Allen.
Motion to approve. Second.
All those in favor of approving, please raise your placard. All those opposed? That is approved. I forgot to add Representative Harris's leave of absence to the agenda, so we will have to take that up on June 6th. We should have enough people for quorum without it anyway, though, so you will be fine. We can retroactively approve that. So we will take that up on the June 6th meeting. Report of the chair. I'm sorry I sent so many emails, but they are really important. I really would encourage you to read through that stuff. Before I leave for the summer, I will be sending some materials that I'd like you to read over the summer before our retreat, which is mandatory. You must be at the retreat, and that is going to be, well, so for the retreat, there was kind of a tie between Friday, Saturday, and Saturday, Sunday. So I was kind of going to have you guys just like raise your hands what you would rather do, and then I'll just set it for one of those two. So, just 1 second.
We debate. We debate.
No.
Point of information, which weekend are we talking
Because
about?
I didn't have it on the agenda.
What
It's going to be either August 24th and 25th, which is the Friday, Saturday, or 25th and 26th, which is the Sunday. So we're just going to vote on it. We're not going to debate on it. I didn't have it on the agenda, so I don't think it would be appropriate to have a debate. Sorry. I have you I'm not done. Okay. Anyway, though, I'm going to be sending out some materials. I'm really stressed that you read those before the retreat. Otherwise, you are going to be drowning in the 24 hours of information that you're going to get there, as I'm sure Vice Chair Van can speak to. So, please make sure that you read everything that I send out. I know it's a lot of reading. With that, I have Representative Rowland for a question.
I move out of rules so we can discuss this.
Second.
Okay. Are there any objections to moving out of rules? All right, then we are out of rules. Representative Vines.
Saturday and Sunday is rough. I'd rather, I guess, do it Friday and Saturday just so there's a little bit more time to transition before school starts. It would have been awesome if we could do this earlier in the week, but I guess we can't, so that's sad. So I vote Friday, Saturday, so we can have our Sunday at least.
Wow. Oh my goodness. Okay. I have Representative Nybark.
Yeah, so I will not be able to attend the whole weekend because it's my, I have, preparation for sorority rush that weekend. So I will not be in attendance, so I'll try to come to at least one training.
Representative Schlitt. Did you not raise your placard? I am so sorry. Representative Meyer.
I'd rather do Friday and Saturday just because I might be going to, I'd rather go to Green Bay Sunday for a Packer game. So.
That's settled with.
Representative or Secretary Harris, I'm sorry.
Yeah. I'd rather do it Saturday and Sunday, just because I want to be able to get here in time, and I need to. And I'm supposed to be working that Friday, so back at home. So I would try to fly out that night to get here Friday night for Saturday. But I guess a question I would have, I guess you can do that right now.
Point of information.
Point of information would be, doesn't school start a whole week after that?
Yes.
So I don't know if you guys want to push it back even more or to that Monday. I don't know for sure, but
I am not. We're not pushing it back any further.
Okay. Well,
sorry. It's not. No, we have stuff to get done a lot earlier than that, so that's not going to be feasible to push it back earlier. You can continue. I'm sorry.
Oh, that's it.
Okay. Representative Crandall.
Yeah. So due to large financial constraint, I won't be able to make it. Yeah.
Regardless.
Unless someone can pay for a $800 plane ticket.
Yeah. Representative Pollyanna.
What time are we talking on Friday?
Friday would be in the morning. I think we left at 7:30 last year. I'm amenable to making that like a half an hour-ish later, sleep a little longer. But then we go. I think we went about 12 hours the first day, and then half the day on the second day. I want to try and find something fun for us to do at night after your 12 hours of training.
Mixer?
One second, we will not be having a mixer. No. There will be no mixing, none of that. But it's gonna be all day on Friday, so you're gonna get up and go. And we haven't decided where that's gonna be yet, but we will provide transportation. So yeah, but it's gonna be all day, so it's gonna be a long weekend. Prepare. Representative Rowland.
I have a great idea for that. Laser tag.
Second.
All right. That was not a motion, but I will take note of that, and I will try to find some laser tag. Representative Vines.
So, again, I'm more strong in my convictions now. Sure, we go up Friday, we're done halfway through Saturday. We get back before Saturday night, we can relax, we can watch the Packers game. That would be nice. I don't want to be gone all of Saturday and Sunday.
The preseason.
That would be depressing.
So awesome.
Vice Chair Van Nappen.
Motion to move back into rules.
Second.
Okay, we're back in the rules. Okay, so continuing with my chair report then. So we are going to do the retreat on Friday, Saturday, so the 24th and 25th. That is mandatory. If you cannot go, I will have to train you separately. So please let me know for the two of you that already said you're not going to be able to be there. That's fine. If anyone else finds that they cannot go, you have to have some really good justification, and please let me know ASAP so we can plan on training you for that. I will give you more details as I figure them out on that. That's all I've got. Are there any questions?
Can you train me in DC?
I can do that.
Cool.
I can train you in DC too.
Fine.
I can train all of you in DC. Perfect. All right. Totally fine. Okay, we're set. Are there any other questions? Awesome. Report of the vice chair.
Student Transportation Board decided to meet next Tuesday too. I don't even know if I'll be able to go because of exams. But also, I sent out an email after the meeting last time, and Ellie, or Chair Brucker, didn't love it. So I want to apologize to her if anybody took it the wrong way. She's not scary. She's very approachable, and she might be more mad at me now for talking about it. So that's all I got.
On point.
Is Ellie Brooker mad at the vice chair?
I am not mad at the vice chair.
This will not be in the minutes.
It's a good choice. Are there any other questions for the vice chair? Seeing none. ASM Student Council report. There hasn't been one since our last meeting. Future meetings, June 6th at 6:30 in the Union. I will let you know what room it'll probably be on TITU, but I'll let you know. I will not be there. To all of you, good luck on finals. Have a wonderful summer. I probably won't see you before then.
Move to adjourn.
Okay, all right. There's a motion to adjourn in a second. We are adjourned at 8:21 p.m.
State for closing roll.
Yes, state for closing roll.
All down here.
Yes.
Brooker,
Here.
Crandall,
Here.
Diaz, Ellers, Harris,